Welcome everybody to the Pure Soul Ask Nikki. How you guys doing? Happy New Year. I haven't seen anybody, so I'm glad that everybody came today. I know that I don't know if everybody watched the spiritual focus for the month of February, but it's centered around the heart chakra and describing how we are with our own body soul relationship and where we love from. And I encouraged people to maybe do like a little bit of a gratitude journal just for a few days to see if you could find love outside of yourself. So I thought we would start our conversation with the spiritual focus topic. If anybody worked on it, I know that Pam had a few comments on it, and so did Brittany. So if one of you guys want to just kind of get us into that, that would be great. Britt, why don't you start?
Okay, I can start. Hi, everybody. Good to see you.
Only because you sent me a text this morning, and that's why I thought, you had some stuff to say. But
yeah, so it's funny. This happens all the time. Mom will make a video and I will be like, yeah, I'll watch it. And I go about my life, and then I go to watch the video, and whatever the focus of the video, I don't know if this happens for everybody else, but whatever the focus of the video is, it's directly applicable to my life at that moment.
Oh my God, it is always. Even the tarot card freaked me out today.
Literally everything.
Yes.
So I just turned 33 over the weekend. And my goal for this year is I'm looking at finding more joy and finding more good things that happen and seeing the good things. Because like objectively, I have a great life and I don't see it. So how can I see it? So I decided to start keeping a gratitude journal, which I'm calling my good day journal. And I decided this on Saturday, and I watched the video today, and she goes, yeah, you should start a gratitude journal. And I was like, cool, did that, have been doing that. It's going really, really well. So I've been doing this thing where I sit down and at the end of my day, and I think of what are all the good things that happen in my day. It's very easy for me as a person to find bad things or to find things that I don't like, but I have a hard time seeing the things that are good. So I decided at the end of every day, I'm going to sit down and pick out what are the good things and write them down and write, today was a good day. And first 2 days, easy. So easy to come up with good things. Third day was a little bit harder, but when I sat down and I thought about it, I thought, oh, actually, wait, that happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. And my goal for that day was like, well, I'm just going to write it was an okay day. But after I sat and I put intention into it and I reread my previous entries from the past few days, I realized, no, it was a good day. Even though nothing big happened that was good, these little moments were good, and therefore it made it a good day. So already 4 days in, I think it's a great practice. And I thought it was really funny that it was your suggestion for the month, because it's working. It's really working.
So
I'm glad to hear that, Britt.
Sorry, Nick. I think to level set, if anyone didn't watch it, the focus, the focus was really about understanding your heart chakra. And I had a misunderstanding that the heart is an emotion, right? And you go through emotions via your heart. Well, Nikki made it very clear that emotions are not felt in your heart, they're felt in your sacral chakra. And that we think about love via our emotions versus seeing love in our daily life, Brett, to your point. So just the mere fact of going around a jewel and just smiling to somebody and giving somebody a smile and them looking at me and smiling back is just the little things that show some sort of love. It's just not defined in the way that we grew up thinking what love would be, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if anyone else watched it or had anything. So I've been looking for the little things now, Nick, and thinking about it.
And when you do that, and when you do that gratitude thing and you start to see that, what's ultimately happening is you're aligning yourself with the positive vibration of the whole universe. So when that happens and when you're in that vibration, like people say, they talk about abundance, and they talk about abundance being like, how come I can never attain abundance? And it's not that it's something that you have to attain, it's something that you have to align with in the vibration. So in order to align with the vibration of abundance, whether it be love that you're seeking or welcoming that you're seeking, whatever it is you're seeking, when you align yourself with that vibration, the bad things don't feel so bad, and you don't really see them as much as you start to see the positive things. So what it does is it changes your perspective. And when you see that level of things, it's like the negative energies that roam around, the car accidents, like you miss all of that. You start to, like, your whole soul will weave you around negative experiences because you're not aligned with it, you're not looking at it, you're not in that vibration, therefore it has no interest in you, right? But when you give it interest, it can get you, it has interest in you, it takes you, it consumes your day, it modifies your thoughts, it brings you down on yourself. And that's what we're trying to eliminate. And a lot of times, like, sorry about the dogs, but when we're born, when we're born and we come into this life, what we know about is love. That's the only thing that we know about. And that's all we are. Therefore, everybody responds to us in that manner. So what we understand about love, if we think of the purest form, is that that is a state of existence. That's how we got here. And then being in relationships with people through the sacral chakra modifies the idea of love. And it starts to give you a different perspective, and love becomes conditional because the sacral chakra is a conditional chakra. And the emotions that happen in our sacral chakra, they come and they go. So you could, be really angry at somebody and swear, I'm never speaking to them, I don't like them anymore, it's over, it's done. But if you loved them before, that emotion of I don't like you, I'm angry with you, that all goes away. So the thing that never goes away, though, is the love. Right? That's why you could be really mad at people when they're here on earth because they're real assholes. But then they get to heaven and you're like, they were wonderful people. Oh my goodness. And you forget all about that, right? And then you glorify that. And so what we want to try to do is stay in that vibration of our natural existence of love, and recognize that any other emotion that happens through connections with relationships is what corrupts our state of existence of love. So then we love people based on what we believe their value to be to us. And if their value is low, we don't put as much effort or esteem into that person or into those relationships. But if we have a high value of dependency through the sacral chakra on that person, our love for them is corrupted by what they believe the value of another to be through the sacral energy. Where if it was truly from the heart energy, there would be no measurement, because it would be your state of existence that you are responding to the outside world, not their value in your life. Does that make sense? I'm looking for where's my and that kind of leaves everybody pondering, I guess, because you're all quiet. But if you think about it, do you love a person from the nature of who you are or their value to you in your life?
No, it's a massive struggle for me.
And I think we all struggle with that at times. I think that's why it's easy for people to walk past a homeless person on the street and not give them every dime in their pocket. Every dime in their pocket. It's easy to do that because the value of their existence has nothing to do with you. Therefore, you don't have to love them because there's no sacral connection to them. But if the connection to the self is based in the state of existence of love, you cannot walk past that person without pulling money out of your wallet and handing it to them, no matter what. You just can't, because your own existence won't allow you to. It just will not allow you to. But if the sacral energy is involved, well, then you can justify that they should probably get a job and they're probably going to use it for drugs or alcohol, which is a sacral measurement of the love you're willing to give another.
Which is ultimately the love you're willing to give yourself. because if we see heart chakra as like you're in full connection and you're in full flow with the universe, anything you give out, you give to yourself, because we're all connected. It's all part of one energy. So if the act of like removing your sacral chakra thinking and thinking only from and acting only from heart chakra allows you to tap into that, which connects everybody, right? And so when you walk past the homeless person, you're not giving the homeless person $5 to the homeless person. You're giving it to yourself almost, because it comes from heart. And if you are in a place where you are living from heart chakra, you are seeing that you are part of everything, and everything that goes out comes back, and everything that comes in must go out.
So think of it here's a kind of a, I don't want to say a dumbed down example, but I was a server. I was a waitress for a lot of years. That's how I always made my extra money. And I got a tip one time that made me like almost fall on my face, right? It was just a great tip. And the price of the food was not, I mean, they like way over tipped me. And it made me feel like it made my night, man. I walked out of that restaurant with $220 and like 80 of it was from this one guy, okay, that his family came to eat. I'll never forget that feeling. So when I go to a restaurant, I don't tip the waitress. I tip what would thrill me today if I was her. What would thrill me? What would give me that feeling that I had that day? What would give that? And that's what I tip. I don't tip based on the price of the food. I don't do the percentages. I tip with what I would love to receive. That's heart chakra. That's what we're trying to do. What would you like to receive? Then be the source of that and give that. And then you're in the vibration of the universe. And so the universe works for you, right? Because we have a body-soul relationship with our own self, our human self, our spirit self. We negotiate that. But when we're connected to the part that we all are, like that oneness that you were talking about, Brittany, then the oneness works for you. And you're guided to be on that path for another person or for yourself. And it comes back. It all comes back in one way or another. And when you live from that place, you wouldn't believe the things that make you think it came back. And it's never, oh, I gave this and that's what I'm going to get back. No, you get back exactly what the universe thinks you need, which is what the oneness thinks that you need. And it's at a time that you need it. And it might have been about, helping that homeless man on the side of the road. That doesn't mean you're getting your $20 back. It means that the universe will conspire to have your back when you need the universe to have your back.
Amanda has
and
that.
Then
she has an example of that. Do you want to tell it about the parking thing or the fender bender yesterday?
Oh, I don't.
I can tell it.
You gotta tell it.
Amanda's like an extremely compassionate, giving, loving person. She's unemployed right now because she's in grad school, but she still finds a way to donate every month to compassion. That's like her thing. And it was a non-negotiable when she stopped working. So she always figures out how to make that work into her budget of her money that she has. And anytime she can give anything, she does. And yesterday she was on the way home from school and the roads were like not great. There was a bunch of traffic and a guy in front of her braked really fast. And then she stopped, but not fast enough. And she tapped the back of his car. So they pull off to the side of the road and she's like, oh, here's my insurance information. And he stopped and he looked at her and he goes, after my brother died, I got into a fender bender and that guy blessed me. So I think I'm going to bless you today. Please keep your information. I'm not going to call anybody. Don't worry. I'm probably not going to call this in. That scratch was probably already there. And she had a really stressful day at school. She was on her way home. It's a long drive. Her sister's going through some stuff. So there's family issues. She's just heavy. And the universe said, I'm not going to overcomplicate this thing. Get home safe. And that was an
And
example of
that's
what she gave out. The universe had her back in a way she couldn't have even predicted and just took care of it for her.
And so I want to explain, because you gave a lead into that. I have two children from Compassion, one from Guatemala and one from Indonesia. And Marissa and I had gone to this Hillsong concert, and they were passing out these children from this Compassion Network. And I just couldn't say no. So we got her, and then, oh my God, I fell in love with her. But then we got another one, and then we found out Amanda had one, and they've been sending out notices for something called Compassion Sunday. And it's, to introduce the kids to others. And I thought, oh, well, where am I going to do Compassion Sunday? Like, it just didn't click or anything like that. But Britt, when you brought it in, and my spirit was like, that's how you're going to talk about Compassion Sunday. So Compassion is an organization that sponsors children in different countries. And you can go online to their website and see all the children that need support. It's $38 a month, and you can $76 for two kids, but you can sponsor them. And then every year there's a limit. You can't like over give, because it's unfair to some of the other children and some of the villages, and they don't want to make them a target for like getting attacked or getting robbed. So there's a $38 that you pay for their medical and things, and then you can send them a family gift a couple times a year, and you can send the kids a Christmas and a birthday gift. And that's all capped out to like, I think $100 is the max. You got to look at it. It's different for each region or something. But if you are thinking that maybe you would like to adopt a little child from Compassion Network, you should see some of the stories. It's really nice. And they write you letters, and then you write them letters, and you start to get to know them, and you can choose any age of child that you like. Like, I started with both of the girls. One was 6 and one was 5. So they're a little older now, and now they're starting to like write letters. Before they were just like drawing pictures, and now they're like telling me stuff. And you could do all of that online, and you can send physical letters, and you receive physical letters and pictures and things like that. So you can take a look at it if you want, but that's about Compassion Sunday. Okay, thanks, Britt. Does anybody else have any other comments about the heart chakra, or the sacral chakra, or anything that we've been sharing today?
I just wanted to say that I was at a For King and Country concert when the Compassion International people came, and I was sitting there crying like, yes, yes, hands up, like I can't say no. And it really is amazing, because I've probably got 15 letters. It's not like, you always wonder, like, is it real? But it really is pretty amazing when you get a letter from this kid, and you can send birthday presents, Christmas presents. And at one point, like, I even like ordered a bunch of catalogs that I could randomly leave places, because I think like at one point for $50, like you could get a town a goat. $50, and you just helped an entire town because you bought them a goat. Like, that's not that much money at all. So I just wanted to say it's a really great organization, and it's definitely worth it.
I agree. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments about the heart chakra, or opening yourself and aligning yourself to the vibration of the universe? No? Okay, so one of the things that I thought would be an interesting topic for us to discuss were two questions that I posed to you guys through the video and through the email. Was, if you could ask God one question, what would it be? And if you could learn something about spirituality, or have some clarity about something connected to spirituality or faith, what would that be? And so if anybody would like to share their question, I'm not saying I'm going to get the answer, but we can, share some ideas about it, or some different comments about it. And if you receive any intuition, or if I do, then of course I would share that. But would anybody have a question like that they would want to begin with?
Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
No one else is.
I was gonna do it. I'm glad it's you, my friend.
Okay, so when I did this, I thought that this was when I get to heaven and I say to God, hey God, you know, this life didn't turn out the way I expected it to turn out. You know, I was going to be the one with the husband, the 4 kids, the white picket fence, right? Life didn't go that way. And so I guess the question really comes down to, did I live the life I was supposed to have lived, or did I force the life to be what it is?
So don't you already know the answer to the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it just helps to vocalize the question, but oftentimes, and when I was asking myself those questions, the same questions, if I had one question for God, what would it be? If I had one question about spirituality, what would it be? And I came to find out that every question I asked, I already fucking knew the answer to, because it was like inside of me somewhere. Like, and so I would
Mhm.
ask the question, but I kept understanding that I actually had the answer to that question. I already knew it. So then I started to wonder if the questions that I was asking was simply a conflict within myself.
Mhm.
And so that would be the question. And then having that information connected to your question, is the question necessary? That particular question. So the idea of living a physical life the way you expect to live it, with the successes or the failures or the families or the children or the money or the no money, whatever it is that your life displays in the world, that is something that is connected to our human consciousness. It's something that we measure ourselves against what we see in the world and what the world tells us that we're supposed to accomplish or not while we're here. That's the function of the human being, meaning that any decision, any path that you take, that's acceptable to the human realm of your existence. Because no matter what human choices you make, your soul has something to do here, and it will find a way to do it through whatever path you choose to take. So when we ask God, did we live this life the way we were supposed to live it? And there's something that we give to the benefit of humanity, you know, and I'll just use my dad as kind of an example. My dad successfully completed his mission for God in raising me. I am eternally grateful to his soul for who I became as a result of his presence in my life. He had some things he had to teach me here, and I learned them. So he did his soul mission with me. Of course, I didn't like the way his humanity went about teaching me those things. I wish that he would have chose a different way to teach me those things, because he made certain choices in humanity that, well, he could have done a better job, but his soul had something to teach me, and I learned that he was successful in his mission, soul to soul. So when we think about, like, did I live my life the way you wanted me to? That's not what he's concerned with. He's more concerned with, was your soul able to express itself through the journey that you chose? You know, it was really interesting. And this is kind of just a side note, because this was a very beautiful session that I had with this woman. But I had a session with a lady who, her mom visited us from heaven, and her mom showed me a vision of this woman's wife and hugged the woman. And I said, oh, your mom really, really likes your wife. She's like so embracing her and she just loves her. And she's like, that's weird. And I'm like, no, she really does. Did they know each other before your mom passed? Because she had been with her wife like for quite a number of years. And she said, no, my mom disowned me the day I told her that I was gay. And I was like, you're kidding me. I go, because your mom doesn't feel that way at all. Like she loves you, she loves your wife. She's like elevating you guys and celebrating you. And it was just a very beautiful vision. And so the mom bows her head, which is always the way that people in heaven say, you know, I'm sorry. And so she said, I said, you know, your mom says she's sorry. And she's like, well, what is she sorry for? And I said, well, she's sorry she disowned you because what the mom showed me was that when she got to heaven, the question wasn't, the question was, did you love? Not, did you love mother love? Did you sister love? Did you gay love? Did you hetero love? Did you brother love? Did you friend love? Did you career love? Did you animal love? That was not the question that the mom received when she got to heaven. The question was, did you love? And so when we think about just like the whole topic of the heart chakra and the whole idea of that love is a state of existence, not an emotion. Did you live in a state of love? That's the question. It doesn't matter how. Did you? So we hold ourselves to a pretty difficult comparison with the outside world when we think that's what our mission is. It's not. It's not. So that's just how we enjoy our life. So if our mission can come through those choices, that's great. That's what I think the real question is about that. Does that make sense?
Totally. And it sits right too.
Mhm.
And to your point, I had asked myself maybe 5 or 6 other questions, and I
Mhm.
did have the answer. I'm like, oh, I can't ask that. Oh, I can't ask that. But this was the
Right.
one
The
I got
same
stuck
thing
on.
happened to me.
Yeah, but this was the
Mhm.
one I got stuck on. And so, and here I took it very different. It was kind of my gut went, whoa, right? Because I thought I knew the
Mhm.
answer until you explain it. And then you come back and you're like, oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. And that's not to deter anybody else from asking questions because you could still have questions. And did you have a spiritual question you wanted to know or no?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But
Oh,
shit, here we go again.
okay.
Because I'm
What
like,
is it?
why can't I can't get past a block in my brain to just love myself like I'll love others. So it's not really, I guess it's not really spiritual, but it is.
Mhm. So your question is about spirituality. How do you love yourself
Mm-hmm.
as much as you perceive yourself to love others?
Yes.
Then start with how you authentically love others, and that will give you your answer.
Mm.
How do you love others?
Okay, that makes
Who
sense.
do you choose to love? Why do you choose to love them? And then look at that. And then that would be a description of how you love yourself. So when I had to try to learn to love myself, I did not know how to do that. And it's a really difficult thing to do. So what helped me learn how to do that is I imagined that whatever I was going through, it was my children going through it. And if my child was going through this, what would be the advice that I give my child, knowing that I love them unconditionally and I want their joy and their happiness? So if I would advise my children to make a particular decision, then I knew, because I'm their mom and I love them so much, then I knew that any decision I made would be okay with God. My thing was like, I don't want God to be mad at me. And so I know that he loves me unconditionally. Who do I love unconditionally? And then I can see my own worth through the people I love unconditionally. And that's how you learn to love yourself. That's the only way I found that really works, is to teach yourself what kind of love you deserve, is to look at who you love unconditionally, literally. And a lot of times that's our children, that's our animals. Sometimes, hopefully, it's your parents or your grandparents. There's always somebody that you can look at and say, I'll help them bury the body. Like, I love that person so much. I would do anything and everything. So that's how we gauge that ability to love ourselves. Because when we try to love ourselves, we don't view our own value. We don't think that we're worthy because the world told us we weren't. So it's really difficult to learn how to do that for yourself. That's the easiest way I found. Otherwise, I just end up in self-comparison, and that's too difficult. If that makes sense. Those are good questions. Thank you, Pam. Anybody else have a question?
Sorry, I can't use my
Oh.
computer. I have a question. Oh, was somebody
Sure.
else going? I'm sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say, it's not a question, but I find like the physical me gets bogged down in like, what kind of love is this? Is this romantic love? Is this friendship love? Is this the right love for sister, brother, mother, all that? Like, that's the physical me. But the spirit me, I've meditated on the Bible verse, God is love, so many times that I just have kind of realized there are so many different kinds of love. We couldn't name them all. We couldn't count them all. And you're lucky to have any of those. Like, maybe like, I want the romantic love. Where's my husband? Where's that? I want the mother-daughter love. Where's that? We don't get to pick what it is. And I've kind of learned what settles me is to tell myself, like, I'm not going to get greedy. If I've gotten 5,000 different kinds of love, if I say, well, those aren't the ones I wanted, those aren't the ones I expected, to me, that just feels greedy, and I have to let that go. And once I meditate on that God is love, it does help me love myself, because it almost takes the pressure off. Like, you know what? God is love. So I'm just going to let him do love. I don't know. I don't have the answer. So I'm just going to be calm, and I'm going to let God take over, because he is love. I don't know if that makes any sense or even applies here.
Yeah,
But that's what my gut wanted to say.
100%. 100%. That's beautiful. Yeah, that makes 100% sense to me. Thank you for sharing that. I agree with you. The other thing that as you were talking, Jackie, it made me think of my friend, Mr. Mollison, who is my lawyer. But when I was in the military, I had a friend, and her car broke down when we were in North Carolina. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And she's like, well, I'm going to call my dad. And I'm like, you're going to do what? She's like, I'm going to call my dad. I'm like, he's in New York. And she's like, yeah, but he'll fix my car. I'm like, we're in North Carolina. And she's like, yeah, it's okay. He'll find a garage and everything, and he'll come and have it towed, and it'll be fine. And she did, and her dad did. And I'm like, it blew my mind, because I didn't even count on my dad to give me a place to live, let alone rescue me in another state because my car broke down. So ever since this happened, my brain could not wrap around this idea of a father and that kind of love, like that you get that from your father. Like, it just made absolutely no sense to me, and kind of blew my mind that it actually happened. So I always looked at her relationship with her dad like in awe, but I never, and I tried to get it from my dad, because like you said, there's an expectation of the kind of love we get from the people that are in our life and the role that they have in our life. So if that's my father, he should love me like a father. And I'm looking over there, and like, that's what a father-daughter love is. But like, I don't understand that. And I spent a long time chasing my dad, trying to kind of establish that type of connection. Like, what I saw out there, I wanted it to apply to me and my dad, but it actually never did. And so I remember I had met my attorney, and he was helping me with a couple court cases, but we had become very good friends, and we went downtown. His office was downtown, I met him down there. We went to Millennium Park for lunch. And as we were leaving, I'm a little distracted, having a conversation. And I stepped out into the street to cross the street. Almost got hit by a bus. Like literally, like I stepped off the thing and there's the bus. So if my lawyer was not there to grab me and pull me back onto the sidewalk, I would have brain damage or be dead. Like I would have been hit by the bus. And then he moved me to the inside of the street, put his arm in my arm and walked me down the street and took me to the bus or whatever, to the train station. Okay. That's what a father's love feels like. And when that moment happened, the thing I was seeking, I found, and I never seeked it again. Not that he's like my dad, I'll call him for advice. He helps me all the time. I love him, but it's not like I see him. It's not like we go out, he's 83 years old, So, but my point is that when we release the expectation of the people that fall into certain roles in our life, when we release them from that love that we're seeking, it will come, we will get it, we will feel it, maybe not from where we expect. Which is why when I was doing the topic for the month of February and chose the heart chakra, I wanted to get there, like to that place where we align with that vibration so that those experiences happen in our life. And we receive a part of that or some element of that, because when you do, it really heals whatever you were seeking before that, right? So the kind of like let go and like God will figure it out. Like I'll just let God do love, like he knows, like he really does. So that's what brought me to that story, is because you're so right. He really does. So yeah.
And I'm doing it out of laziness, like not because I think I'm so smart or so uplifted or anything, but I'm lazy. I'm going to let him do it.
I like
Well,
that.
he said, come to me and I will give you rest. So if you go there to rest, he said he'll take care of the rest. So I think that's a perfect approach.
Can you take my exams too?
Amanda just said, can you take my exams too?
When you are very aligned with your spirit, Marissa can attest to that. When she was a little baby, I used to put her in the mirror and I used to say to her, say hi to your amiga. Because when babies look in the mirror, they're not seeing the physical reflection of themselves. They're seeing their soul in the mirror. They're seeing their spirit self in the mirror. So I used to put her in the mirror and be like, say hi to your amiga. And she'd be like, hi, amiga. And I knew that eventually, once she kind of rooted into the physical world, one day she would look in the mirror and not see her amiga. And that happened. She was about 5.5 and she came downstairs and she's like, oh my God, my amiga's not in the mirror. And I knew she had shifted into like a human perspective, because now she didn't see her soul in the mirror. But she understood after all that time how to listen to her soul, because it was a regular part of our day. I wanted her to know her spirit from the time she was born. I didn't want to, Britt was 8 when I had my spiritual awakening. I had it while Marissa was in my arms. So she, like me, had to go through those early childhood conditionings and kind of get all that off in order to find our soul. Where Marissa, her soul was always it was always pointed out to her. She always had that connection. That was like one of the things I really wanted to focus on. And that's what she listens to. It's her best friend. So when she was in high school and you order the high school ring, I was like, ooh, what are you getting on the sides of your ring? Because you get to put an emblem or your name or whatever on each side of the stone. I was like, what are you putting on it? And she's like, well, I'm going to put my name on one side and I'm going to put my amiga on the other side. And I was like, why are you doing that? She's like, Mom, I couldn't get through high school without my amiga. Like, she gave me a lot of test answer questions. Like, I didn't know. And it just, like, she just told it to me. So I picked it. So I also want to say that even as far as our education and every single thing that we do in our life, when we are in that alignment with our soul, we get extra help. And that's what she did. And that's what she put on her ring. And I just thought it was such a, Amanda talking about, can she take my test? Yeah, if you put a little bit in, if you study, what you're doing, and this is just to help anybody, but like I don't know anything about anatomy, but I talk to people in heaven and they tell me stuff about their family members on earth and their conditions of medical conditions. And I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. Okay. And so it's very hard for me to describe what I'm seeing because I don't know the name of that vein. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to describe that. I can just get as close as I can and describe what I'm seeing. Well, I'm never going to go and learn a whole thing of anatomy, and I have short-term memory loss, so it's not like I'm going to be able to memorize anything either. But a friend of mine bought me a big anatomy book, and it's color coded. So each section is a color, right? Like physical, body, that's all red, neurological is all blue, pulmonary stuff is all green. So the book is like designed and it has all these diagrams and everything. So what I did is I went through the entire book, read the entire book, read all the diagrams, and I literally visually saw all of the pieces of this book. Now, there's no way I remember any of it, and I don't. But when I was studying it, I would look at it and I would try to tape record it into my soul. So I'm like, okay, like I can't be distracted when I'm studying this. I have to look at this, I have to study this, but I also need my soul to look at this at the same time. Now she has all of the information that I could possibly need when I go inside myself for a question. So if I have a client that comes and they want me to take a look at their physical body or run a scan, if I'm unclear of what I'm looking at, if it's green, I know it's pulmonary and I can go get that book and I can find the exact part and piece that that person is talking about. Because since my soul has the information, she can just flash it into my third eye. I don't have to try to retain all of that information. So that's one of the techniques that you use, is that you just be open and try to bring the information all the way through your chakra system. And if you can do that, it's kind of, it's with your soul, and you can always have access to that information. And that's a lot of times how we receive intuition, is through that same understanding. You meet somebody new, but as soon as they say hello, they remind you of that one girl from high school, and you guys were really good friends all the way through high school. Like that girl just pops into your head. You haven't thought about her in 30 years, but you meet this new person and whammo, there's that chick from high school. That's because whatever you know about that girl in high school is probably going to mirror the relationship with this person that you're just meeting. So all through our life, we are gathering information that sits in our soul that might not be at the frontal part of our brain for us to access. We don't even remember it happened until it pops into our head, right? Which is why we have that ability to obtain all of the answers to the questions that we have, because at some point in our life, the information has already been put there. And that's how you deal with school. And that's probably the only reason I passed school. So, anybody have any questions, topics of conversation, comments? Yeah, we talked about some deep things.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I guess this could be more geared towards, I honestly, it could probably be for either, like more of the kind of spirituality, because I think it could be, or even just kind of directly, but it's more like, what harsh truths do I prefer to ignore?
Mhm. Can you expand? Do you want me to answer it? It's not like, you're not asking me what harsh truths you prefer to ignore, because you already know what those are.
But no, I'm ignoring them. So I really don't. It's not in conscious awareness. It's in subconscious to unconscious, but it's in through action. So I'm asking in sense of like to bring it to conscious, to be able to actually stop ignoring it.
Well, how do you know you're ignoring something? What part of you knows you're ignoring something?
Well, I can tell when there's resistance in areas.
Okay, so give me an example of where there's a resistant area.
Finances.
Okay.
same pattern, let's say. Like I have this, but like a belief system since I've been a child. I've never been worried. I'm like, everything will work out. And everything does work out. But in that path, sometimes it's like I'm trudging through dirt or like mud. You know what I'm saying? Of like, whereas like if I was more factual, like based it upon facts, like probably wouldn't be an issue because I confronted it up front. Instead of being like, well, no, it will work out. Like, I'll see the path. I just need the step, right? And I take the step and then I'm like, oh, this step kind of sucks, but okay, sure, we'll take the step. You know, so it's more of, I feel like I'm like I have blinders on and I'm like maybe not accepting a truth, you know?
When you get that truth about the finances, what parts of you respond? Because I struggle sometimes with the same topic. And I'm a type of person that kind of jumps into a survival mode perspective. So then I have to figure out, how am I going to get enough money to pay this, to pay that? And then whatever money I get, I pay it right away. And I'm always like scraping by, like, man, $38 in my account. Like, it's ridiculous. And so I find the same thing. But what I used to do before, when I felt that the pressure was all on myself, I would go get another job. I would like kill myself trying to make that money. And I don't do that anymore. What I do now is I know it's going to be fine. And I just wait to see how. And sometimes it means I get 3 additional emergency sessions. Or, you know, there's always something that points me on how I'm going to be okay. Right. So I don't know if I would say that you're ignoring a harsh truth. I think you're working through your faith in spirit. But it doesn't seem like you're ignoring it. You're aware of it. You know it's there.
Yeah. Like,
and you wait for that step.
The example I could give is, and I'll put it into context. Like, my dad and I are very different. He's a factual kind of person. So if he knows he's going to owe, let's say, $10,000 for taxes, he is going to put aside, you know, over $1,000, like $1,000 each month, just in case. So there's leeway, right? Whereas I'll be like, well, I'll wait to see what happens. Let's see what the amount is. And I will figure it out after that point, right? Versus like, you know what I'm saying? Well, maybe it would be better. Maybe it will be worse, but maybe like, I know I'm okay, but it's like, I understand what he's saying. He's like when we talk about it, he's like, but that's not an option. Like, it's not like, oh, I don't feel like paying taxes this year, you know? And it's like, I don't think it's like an option, but I'm like, I'm always on the back end of like, you know, instead of being the proactive part of finances of like, I'm always like, there's something in my mind that said, you will be fine. And that won't be a struggle at some point. There's been something, but there's been no evidence necessarily to show that. I mean, yes, randomly there's like times, right, where like money just comes in, you're like, holy moly, right? But what I guess maybe that truth is, now talking this through, is during those times, I've never changed my behavior with money, and I've blown it. Like, here's 80,000. Okay, wonderful. You know, and like, just like lavishly spending it as if another 80,000 was coming in the next month. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that was it's recognizing of what is not like overspending, like not just buying things to buy things. Because like, it's like, if for an like in our house, I always have everything filled. If like chocolate milk is not in the little row, I will go to my little stock and put another chocolate milk. Like, my fridge would look like as if somebody went to a store, because there's like this feeling that everything has to be full, right? So if money, like, even though let's say you're saying like, okay, I have $38. Okay, well, I'll make sure to spend my $38 on something, right? Or one time I had, like in college, I had $1.11 in my account. I went to McDonald's and got a side salad because it was $1.10 with tax. And I'm like, score, I still got a penny left. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but this, what you are describing is where most people would love to get to that level of like calmness about that.
I'm
That's
like, not cool. We
very
got a penny
difficult,
left.
you know, but I can't help you because I don't think you're wrong. Like I think that your level of, you don't give the money the level of importance
Yeah, I
that
don't.
others give the money. The money does not control you. Therefore, it's always going to be fine because it doesn't control you, where the majority of the population is controlled by the money that they have or the money that they don't have.
Uh,
That's people, you understand what I'm saying? That's a root
Yeah.
energy that is literally, it changes relationships. It has a lot of power over people,
yeah.
and you don't let money have any power over you, which is why it always works out, because
Oh,
it doesn't have power over
yeah.
you.
If I need it,
So the
I would have
only,
the
like,
power.
if you need it, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Your only uncomfortable truth there is that you just different than the majority of the population. So
Well, that was our,
there's very few like you know, like money
that
is
was our
power, and
yeah.
people have it or they don't.
Yeah.
And if they have it, they have power. If they don't have it, they
Yeah.
don't have power. Then their value is measured upon the money that they have. So I
Yeah.
don't feel that it has any dominance over you, but it's different than what you would see in the rest of the world. So you think there's something wrong, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective.
Okay. Because I'm
Can
like,
you guys give an example for the rest of us in the room who are very worried about everything that's going on with both of y'all's bank accounts and who are fully triggered right now? Like,
Oh, heck yeah. I'm your dad, Haley. That's me. I would be putting the money away. You're giving me a heart attack.
well, I
So
made
it's
my
something that
parents like
came
take a personality test, and I'm an INFJ and my dad's an IS INFJ. He's a ISTP. So like he just is so factual, and he's like, how could you not set aside money? He's like, this isn't an option. And I was like, well, last year I didn't have to pay, and I was like, this year I guess I do. And he's like, well, did you get this? Did you get that? I'm like, no, like it will work out. Like I don't foresee it in my like pathway right now. And he's like, that's not a thing, Haley. And I was like, no, but I see my
But I have to tell you, I know that when I get my taxes, I'm going to owe money and I don't have it. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, last year I had to pay this. So I still have that amount left on my credit card. So I'm probably going to end up maxing that out. And then what credit card will I be using? Because how am I going to pay that off? I have to put the IRS payments onto the credit card. Like I'm really, and you know what? I'm like, it'll be fine. I don't know how it'll be fine, but it'll be fine. You know, it'll be fine.
Like I've had people say, I don't understand your life because like what you do, how much you work, what you make, but like somehow it's all worked out. Like I can't tell you. And I'm like, if I could write a book and explain it, like, but I just assumed I was like not like wanting to confront it.
No, and it's interesting. It's like, you know, when we were talking earlier about aligning yourself with that path of abundance and that vibration that the universe has your back, like you know it'll be okay. Like I know it'll be okay. I just don't know how it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. I don't know how though. And so whenever I am geared or guided toward how it will be okay, of course I would do it. I follow that prompt and I follow that. So I think you're doing that, but everything you're saying, I just don't see anything in your spirit that says that you should change your perspective. Like you're not bouncing around in your soul energy. You're really aligned all the way down through your chakra system when you're telling it. Like there's no discrepancy in you about it.
Yeah, when it bounces, I just figured like, I was like, maybe like everyone else is saying this, like, why aren't you worried about these things? Like,
Yeah.
you know, some of the things of like, I mean, outside of like taxes, the things that are going on, my own stuff. But I think what I'll take from that is my thought of when certain money was not coming in anymore. I was like, oh, I need to pick up more work. And it's driving me nuts because now I'm working on Saturdays and I'm like, I don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I was like, that component, I was like, I need to stop that because that's not in alignment with what because then my kids are going to my parents, so they're sitting in the office, they're, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what, so that space I'll take is I realized the other day, I was like, I keep adding things in and I was like, that's the overwhelm. I'm like, you're good. Like, stop adding, you know?
There you go. I had to tell myself that too, like let all the candles run out before I buy more. And don't buy, 7 things of shampoo. I only need one. And when that gets halfway, then I can order another one. But I do, I live in survival mode. So like we can live in when the pandemic came, we had plenty of Clorox because they were already in our basement. You know what I'm saying? Like I had like 10 of them because I got a lot of dogs. So we have the overabundance of Clorox wipes, we didn't run out for quite a while. So it's like, I get what you mean about that, just having what you need. So, but your energy doesn't respond to any discrepancy.
Okay. So no blinders on. Okay.
Yeah. And
Good.
Britt, when you were asking about yours, the universe already opened up opportunity that you'll be fine, and you're working a shift at BDP. So like, that wasn't an option maybe before. Maybe you didn't think about it before, but your intention of, I miss my wife, I want to hang out with her. What is she doing? Oh, she's picking up that shift. You went into that because of love, not because of money.
Right.
The perk is I'm also going to make $300 while I get to hang out with my wife. Like you picked up the shift because you miss your wife and you waitressed before, so you could pick up this shift and make a couple $100. But look at what really prompted you picking up the shift was because you missed Amanda. It wasn't about your pocketbook. It was like, we don't hang out because she's in grad school. Like she's got a ton of homework. Like, when am I going to see her? When she picks up this shift. Okay, well, I'll pick up a shift. And now the universe, based off of being in the vibration of love with your wife, gives you a couple $100 extra. So you'll be fine. Because your intention is not about the money.
Right.
The money becomes the perk from loving someone, right? And making a choice because you love someone, not because you're trying to stuff your pocketbook. And that is kind of like what Haley's talking about. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to worry about money. Why? Because you love. Do you see how your love made everything else okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, when I think about it too, of like, I can be stressed about money and worry about like where my next dollar is going to come from and if we have enough. But like when it comes to like buying presents for people, make it rain. Why am I not worried then? Why am I not worried about the money when I'm ordering Marissa a custom sweater with all the dogs' names on it? Why am I not worried about that? That was like that.
Because it's love and it will be fine.
Love. Right. And I'll make it work and it'll be okay. Yeah.
Right. And it will literally be fine.
So if I just live from that space, then, because I like to joke about like, well, you are self-employed, you work for God. So like he decides when you get paid. Some jackass in Ravenswood decides when and how much I get paid on a regular schedule. And there's no negotiating that until next July. So I'm always
or until you love and you hit yourself in the vibration of where God is love. And then you make $300 picking up a shift because you love your wife.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, well, you guys, this was really great, I think. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I missed everybody the last couple months. I'm sorry that life took a turn and I just dropped the ball on the last couple Ask Nickies, but I'm glad that you're all here and thank you for joining today. Any last questions or comments for me?
It was great seeing everyone.
Okay. Yeah, it was great seeing you, and I'm so glad you came, Kim. I missed you in the last several that
know,
we've
I've
had, so
missed
I'm
you.
glad it worked out for your time. And I'll see you guys next month, or hopefully sometime during the month. So, bye.
Bye, guys.